All right, here, webcomics here. Here, comics. Transgender hate mail, homosexual hate mail, atheist hate mail. Basically, me reacting to a bunch of screen caps on YouTube, DeviantArt, of comments and response to comments. I made using Deviant Lifestyles and a few other things. Trigger warning. But all I was saying, go ahead, click off video and go watch something else. Do not like, say there's hate tweets for my videos because there is no hate tweets for my videos. Speech you hate, less than restore it. Also, good to get vaccinated so you can help stop the spread of germs. So I got vaccinated for the flu a while ago, so it's important. That helps my body be stronger against the flu. And I got vaccinated for COVID a while ago. That helps my body be stronger against COVID. So I just wanted to get vaccinated. Yeah, let's see here. Let's get back to people. Let's get back to people getting things wrong. The comment sections of me trying to them out with bio versus basic biology, and the video ticked off about that. After I talk about do the not safe for work fan art. Okay, here's the issue. Not safe for work fan art is going to stay with the transgender hate mail. I was thinking, hey, why don't I make its own series? But then I realized, no, they're very important. Both the not safe for work fan mail and the transgender hate mail are very important because they talk, not safe for work hate mail, not safe for work fan art. Taking time to do not safe for work fan art talks about different body parts, male body parts, penis and testicles, and female body parts, vulva and ovaries, stuff like that. He talks about that because that's important distinction there. Body parts are not male or female because of what you believe. It's about their body parts because of actual scientific research that showed off what these body parts are for. Body parts, penis, and testicles are designed to produce sperm and deliver it into females' bodies. Female body parts, vulva and ovaries, are designed, uterus, vagina, things like that, are designed to receive male reproductive organs, penises, so that they can get the sperm into their reproductive system and use it to fertilize their eggs. It's very important. That's male and female there. So yeah, we want to talk about that stuff. So I'm going to continue to talk about that stuff. On here, we got some nice, beautiful, lots of Loud House stuff, all grown up. Those are all grown up here, showing off. Lola is a beauty queen. She's hanging out, showing off her beautiful body. As a beauty queen, and you see her big sister. See her, Lola from Loud House in the Lola Bunny outfit. That's not bad. Oh my goodness. So many cute girls. Indeed. Very glad to see the her with boys she's not related to. Yeah, very important. Yep. Important to see them. Yeah. It's like Lila and probably Lana. Her twin sister getting impregnated. Very nice. Her all grown up with a dude with Pikachu ears. That's a little weird. That's how it goes. Let's continue on here with more transgender hate mail. Let's see here. We got. All right, there's an overlap, but it's important to talk about. So, and other hate mail too. I was called one of my last videos hate mail, just called the transgender part. But then I did remember I said transgender hate mail also in this talks about that people hating on me for speaking out against the transgender lifestyle, but also it speaks about other things and a few other things I say because I talk about video games and martial arts and stuff like that. So yeah, transgender hate mail is the main thing is to talk about the transgender lifestyle, but also there's other stuff too. So let's get on. So it's gonna be called transgender hate mail. I called it other things when there was no transgender hate mail in it, but then I realized, just call it transgender hate mail. Change the thumbnail to whatever you want to change it to, but transgender hate mail. Let's go. Let's see here. Someone said Disney and Sweet Baby Incorporated will always seek out scapegoats. It's easier than self-accountability and change. I had a thumbs up, and Devion liked it. Devion says, well, we'll just keep them accountable then. And I say, sadly, but sometimes the harder path is the best one. I got a like for that. So I wonder why no investor asked the question. We are not asking you for excuse or explain why it failed. We are asking you to make a game or movie that sells well. Yeah, true. I don't know. People are starting to, and that ticks them off because it's accountability. You have to actually be accountable and actually be like, no, you can't mess around. and say, "Oh, it was someone else's fault, not ours." When you made the game and tried to sell it to this audience, and they're like, "Nope," and then someone spent less money, made a game that they like better. That's how it goes. That's the year. We said again against hate. Remember when that one dev called gamers talentless freaks? I remember. I remember. All they do is hate on everything. And I say, Petra's Farm also remembers. Laughing to you, cry emoji. And someone says, it's not a mistake that we made our bad game. It's your fault for not buying it. That's such backwards logic. Yeah. Well, why do they make it so ugly? Yeah. Masses of debuff for middle-aged women, according to Liza was told. I said, I don't know about that. They're big, strong women and big, strong men. Well, that's what they say too, but I might say, why timekeeper thickness? Heart for eyes and big smile emoji. Also, why did they not give Doll a white coat with a red cross on the back? He's a healer after all. Okay, yeah. Definitely overload. Yeah, the things. Hot and fast are different words. Harley Quinn and Joker, do a flip. There's only one. Malice, remember like how she looks, read more. Give her a man face. Take that, you jerks. Give her a man's face. Take that, you jerks. Now they could have given her they could have made her an axolotl person. I would have no problem with that. She would look eventually beautiful, and she would have been, matched to, hung out with her dog. It'd be nice. Yeah. And don't forget this is being incorporated to someone else. Anger face emoji. I will go out of my way to avoid it. Wokeness was tolerable when it was in the closet. Show no mercy to your enemies, for they will show none to you, and delight in doing so. I don't know if the we Christians go by. So it goes. Honestly, they don't need forgiveness. They are making their money, sadly. We'll only get worse. Until, of course, they fail so much. They destroy enough. Then, of course, people are like, nope. You shouldn't. They will never give you such kindness and hate for you. They desire and hate you for being you, especially if you're a white dude. Someone else. Yeah, I think I'm buying most Western games, at least the ones from starting like 5 years ago and past this point. Some Asian games, though, too. They connect themselves to one of the subversive companies. Also, maybe some indies. All the games are female characters that are strong and independent, just like Spider-Man 2. Facepalm emoji. They ruined the game. That game. Who wants to play as a manly Mary Jane or help a gay guy ask another man at prom? I do not. All the studios that worked with them, Sony, Microsoft, Warner, all deserve to lose money and owned by the boatloads. And they are. Because woke does not make money. So it doesn't work. WT at actual F. This sounds beyond crazy. I'm kind of happy I can afford a console or PC. I can't support these developers by accident. In the face emoji with okay symbol. Same, plus EA and CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red used to be good, but then they failed, Let's see here. The only problem with that game mission that they didn't let us leave instead of just watching them. Actually sold Spider-Man 2 when they made you help out a gay kid. Didn't even care. They didn't even get that paid for. No, paid it. No, finish it. Just took it out. PlayStation, and went back. It went. All those trash games. I'm looking at them and play dog crap Starfield. No guys say really words. Thumbs up. Being filled with unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliceness, fill of envy, murder, debate, deceit, bad debate, deceit, malignity, whispers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, displeasing to parents. Yeah, the dark side. The Bible talks about the dark side. How that stuff can take hold on people. 1 second, please. I can't try to get out. How do I pause? Oh, there it is. Well, all right, my cat figured out how to. I thought the door was too closed too far for her to actually get her paw in it, but she figured it out. So let's continue on here. Where is it? Read more, unfortunately. And so it says, that sounds about right. Someone says, I seem to recall the Bible saying something along the lines that I'm paraphrasing here. So was the days of Noah, it shows me the last days. If I got that wrong, forgive me. The point being that in the days of Noah, the world was riddled with evil, and all thoughts of men were evil continually. So it says, scary people, gay people, any scene should be skippable, especially if romance is related. Thank you. How's the cat going to get in? How's the cat going to get in? So it goes. Neither do I. They will pay for Suicide Squad, I say. Technically, I do forgive them, but I will never forget. So I forgive them. I never forget. So. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got the whole verse. Let's see here. Without understanding covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful. This is from the KJV Bible. These are the kind of people we're dealing with. Yeah, those people who fell into the dark side. Yes, gotta get in there. But yeah, go. Yeah, I hate mail part 16. Someone says, as a white man, I take pride that I can just sit here and do nothing, and it's my fault that the games fail. It's the fault of they're going in the market that won't support them. It's basically like saying, oh yeah, we want, people are like, we want, they're basically, according to them, they're like, they just want candy. That's all they want. They want candy. I'm like, yeah, we like candy, but we can eat other stuff as well, but that's not like that's more healthy for us. But you're not saying here's something healthy. You're saying here's stuff that's rotten. Here's stuff that's filled with just like unpleasantness. Buy this thing that's filled with unpleasantness. We're like, no, I'm not buying that. It's like you can talk about whatever you want in a game, you can, but when you talk about certain things, it's just like, yeah, we've heard this before, seen it before, and it's like this is, it's unpleasant. We don't want to buy a game. That's why woke games do not work. When AAA, you don't want to have a woke games with AAA games. You give them, basically indie budgets. You fund woke games with other games that actually make money. So you never have woke games at AAA games, and certainly never as a live service. It never works. Because you're trying to basically say, okay, that's what happened. Suicide Squad, they gambled it all. Rocksteady, WB and Super Baby gambled everything. Suicide Squad killed Justice League because it's a licensed game like Fortnite. They're like, oh, it's enough like Fortnite. Hopefully, people will the people out there, the ignorant masses will buy it. And we'll make bank because we're giving up hundreds of millions of dollars to develop this thing. Radically different than our normal stuff that is proven to work. Then you have a story in there that is Sweet Baby. Someone from Sweet Baby wrote that stuff as a hate-filled letter to the Arkham series and fans of the Arkhamverse and DC Universe and comic books in general, men in general. There's so many things about that. I'm just so wrong, and I'm just like, guys, you made a $200 million game that gave you $200 million in debt. Okay, Suicide Squad Justice League could have existed as an indie game, as a mobile game. You play as the Suicide Squad, jumping and shooting at things, because they jump and shoot at things, but you could have done that way cheaper, way cheaper, and it'd have been like, yeah, okay, yeah, it didn't work, you just made it, yeah, we made it, and it didn't work. It didn't work very well at all, so, oh well, yeah, dang it, that million, we lost $1 million, okay, moving on, we'll try something else, release an Arkham game, make a new Arkham game, then that'll recuperate that $1 million that we lost, they don't do that. They're like, here's $200 million, and it's like, nope, that failed, and it's like people are 200 players on average, or maybe 1,000 or so players, people did not like that story. The gameplay was mid. The graphics are great, but but still, it doesn't matter. The story was horrible. The story was horrible. You're doing things you don't want to do because people are like, I hate the Justice League. So let me just make fan fiction about that. There you go. Have fun with that. Parody fan fiction. Boom. The Justice League are now idiots when they're like supposed to be some of the smartest and strongest of all people in the DC universe. Now they're the weakest and dumbest. These people who are weaker than the Justice League are now much stronger and better than the Justice League are, and better. They win. Yay! I'm like, you put that on AAA. See, again, if it had been a no-name studio, it'd have been an indie game, and it would have been like, and if better yet, even then, if it had character parody versions of Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and all the others, then it'll be like, okay, yeah, I know what you're saying exactly. You hate on these established heroes, you hate on them, but you hated on them, and you made like stereotypically bad versions of them, woke knockoffs of them, that just about like I'm Batman. I punch people. That's what I do. I hate people. I punch them. That's basically what Batman is like. And Superman's like, ha ha, I'm invincible. I'm invulnerable. I am a god. I can do no wrong. Yes. Oh, a friend. He's like so out of touch. Because he's not human. That's how they see him. Or the same thing. It's like, no, I am, bound by this code that stops me from wanting to work with people like you. Like she would work with anyone who's trying to fight against evil because she's trying to fight against evil. And then, of course, Green Lantern, the space cop, the Uncle Tom space cop. It was like, so many things like that. It just, Flash was kind of an idiot, but then he gets turned into a psycho, fast moving psycho, because he's been turned evil. But still, it's like, yeah, we know what's going on here. You're hating on these people because they're just traditional heroes that a lot of people like, want to see games. They want to play as them, not kill them. And you're like, no, we're going to go the opposite direction. And I'm like, I'm sorry. There was better games made that cost less. There were better shows. Invincible had the Omni-Man kill a bunch of knockoff heroes, and that one, and knockoff Justice League members, okay, basically. And that was definitely mean, but it was like, oh yeah, I know what you're doing. That's okay. That's your universe by itself. When you're like, nope, this is the DC universe, the Arkham universe. Here you go. We're going to tear it all down with a horrible game and horrible tie-in comics, and we're going to tear it all down and build up this thing that's not nearly as good. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't like that. Thankfully, this is the multiverse, so you can say that's not canon, at the very least. But still, it was not a fun game. Suicide Squad Justice League was one of the worst games I've ever seen. It was basically the decadence of the bad ideas of live service and woke put together in such ways that's just like you wasted hundreds of millions of dollars on this. And you're like, oh, people will fall for this crap. Look, overpriced guns and skins. And it's like also too, this wasn't a free to play game. You had to pay $70 or more to buy this game. And it definitely was exclusive to only like a few systems. It was on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And it's like, if you're trying to make a live service game, and I gotta actually do a whole separate video on this, and I will. But yeah, trying to make a live service game, you need to make it less expensive. You need to make it more innovative, and you need to make it more available. That's why I like the idea of having games like that on mobile. Downgrade the game to mobile, and then it's like, yeah, you can have it on any phone, any tablet, any system. Download on your PC and it'll run that. Download it on whatever, mobile. But they're like, no, you have to have this graphics card. You have to have that costs a few $100s. You had to have a computer. You got to have a system, a game system to run this thing, or it won't work. And I'm like, right. And we were like, I'm not buying, including me, I'm not buying, spending hundreds of dollars on systems, then spending hundreds of, a bunch of money on the game, on that game, And then the live service aspect was not there, like Helldivers live service aspect was there because it was about, having a huge world you could add more stuff to. Add more stuff to, Helldivers 2 is like, yeah, here's, a cool thing, cool stuff you can do. You can run around and fight aliens or robots at level 1. Go ahead, more stuff's coming. And over time, more stuff came in because they're like, let's make more stuff. Ooh, this will be fun. Put it there. But then, with Suicide Squad, it's like, okay, this game was obviously made a single player offline game, but then some loser, most likely from WB, wanted it to be live service. So they chopped up the game. Here's all the story in the first part. Here's a little something, Junkler, here's a little something else. Fake Freeze, here's a little something else. Fake Lawless, here's a little something else. Old Man Deathstroke, and the ending, and the ending. Oh, there are 12 Brainiacs now instead of one, because we say so, and it's like, yeah, one new character that jumps and shoots, but new weapon, guns, new weapons and skins you can use. That costs money. $20, please. Like, no. After $70 for the game, and all that stuff for the equipment, if I don't have it yet, because I don't have a graphics card yet. I have to buy a graphics card to play that. I have to buy the game to play that. Now, of course, it costs $5. So it's definitely better. But still, I still have to buy a graphics card for that. It's $300. So it's like, I will someday, but not. But it's not gonna be just for that. It's gonna be for other things too. Okay, that's how it goes. How much time I have? I went a lot overboard. So I'll see you guys next time. Check me out on YouTube TV.